regularly scheduled board meeting of the year. It's a pretty crazy time of year for everybody, so appreciate you being here on what's a pretty busy schedule. We're also streaming the meeting, so welcome anybody listening to it at home or anyplace else. And for anybody who wants to rehear the meeting for any reason, we'll have it on the website within 24 hours, as well as any of the slides you see will be posted, so you can look at that if you'd like. A couple things on house cleaning before we get started. We do have a section in the board meeting up front where we allow people to they want to have comments to the board. So if you do, there's a yellow sheet right by the front entrance. If you would like to speak, if you could fill it out and just pass it to the front over the next 10 minutes or so. And then lastly, I wanted to say we put a new part on the website is for anybody who's has questions about the bond and the construction that will be going on over the next few years. And that's on the site. If you go to this section about the district, and there's a big icon, and it will show you the latest designs, the timelines, anything like that. So, and then we'll give you a name and email of anybody if you want to have any questions. So with all that, I'd like to hand it over for our recognitions to Dr. Brown.
Welcome everybody. We're glad y'all are here. Happy holidays. And we're excited about having a lot of students to recognize. And I'm going to have Dr. Alfaro start us off this evening with our Spotlight on Excellence.
Spotlight on Excellence. Erica Castillo from the Junior School, please come on down. Every month we shine the spotlight on excellence on somebody who goes above and beyond and often might not get recognized for going above and beyond. And so this month's spotlight shines on Erica Castillo, a junior school math teacher at Alamo Heights Junior School. Now, Erica's a great math teacher. Everybody knows that. Her faculty colleagues call her a rock star. But that's not what she's being recognized for today. Today she's being recognized for being supportive and helping other people. Her fellow colleagues say that she goes above and beyond to make sure all the other teachers are being taken care of, especially new folks, to make sure they have everything working and that they know the ropes and what's going on. In fact, she's even been known to make entire lunches for her department, and I think that's much appreciated, I'm sure. So she takes care of her colleagues around her, but she also takes care of her kids. And so one particular story from the beginning of the year illustrates this, and it's the first day of school. Picture the first day at 6th grade. You're coming from the elementary school and you lost your official schedule and you don't know where to go. Erica stepped in and helped a young man to reconstruct his schedule from memory on a piece of paper, and she periodically throughout the day found him and checked in on him to see how he was going. It's kind of a stressful day. In addition to that, during her conference period, she calls the mom at home and says, "You don't know me yet, but I'm a math teacher, and I just want to let you know that you may need to check in with your son. He had kind of a rough day, losing his schedule. I checked in on him, but I wanted to give you a heads up so that when he came home, you can kind of help support him like we've tried to do today." Now, that's pretty impressive, going over and above on a very busy day for everybody, not just the students, but for teachers as well. But that's just one example of why we shine the spotlight on Erica Castillo. Congratulations. So, Erica, who's with you today?
It's my husband, Mike, who throughout my entire teaching career has been there for me. Long hours, held down the fort at home. Appreciate him very much. And my dad, Keith, who has always been the support for me throughout my entire life.
Well, thank you guys as well. She's just young. Our next recognition is for the Junior State of America, 5 students who were awarded a gavel award for best speaker at Junior State. Come on down. So the audience might not know as much as we do because we get regular updates. Junior State of America is very active. And they have well over 50 folks signed up for the nationalship, right, for the winter conference, and so they're excited about that. These guys will talk in a minute behind me, but we're here to recognize Best Speaker Awards at the Fall State Conference. What do we call it? Right? So first, tell us who's here. We'll go down this way, and then I'll ask you Yeah, just start there.
James Furman, senior.
Hank Humphreys, senior.
Tom Elliott, senior.
Danny White, senior.
Connor McMunn, senior.
Grace Lanewell, senior.
Great. We'll get back to Grace here in a minute, and then I'll tell us who these people are.
I'm Miss Messa.
And you're a teacher?
Oh. I teach world history at the high school, and their biggest fan. Mr. Gray teaches also social studies, and Mr. Tucker.
Mr. Tucker, I teach AP Government Economics.
And these are all the faculty sponsors for the junior school. They're not just here hanging out. They're not fans necessarily, right? So, James, tell us a little bit about the contest and what you guys are recognized for.
Essentially, this was our first region convention for the year, so all JSA chapters from Texas and a couple of areas from surrounding states attended the convention as the Texas region. And we had 6 blocks of debating over 2 days there in the state capitol building. So all the awards that were awarded and the Alamo High students here were voted by all their peers in the debates by ballot as the best speakers in those debates for either being main speakers or subsequent speakers.
And so that's what all these folks are here for. Now, Grace at the end is a special distinction. She's part of the state cabinet, and one of the roles she had single-handedly was to make sure she secured the speaker for the state conference, right?
Correct.
And so you used every string you could pull in your network, right, to secure Wendy Davis to speak here. Well, that's a big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah. So any secrets to share? Or is that like confidential stuff?
Definitely ask for help. You can't ever do it on your own. You always have to have a huge support system. Parents are my huge support system. And really and truly, it's just best to be really active, call, email, and be involved in your community.
Well, we're very impressed with you guys. If you're a parent of one of these, can you wave at us so we can recognize you guys? Thank you so much. We're all very impressed. Before I let you guys go, do you guys have anything you want to say about this group?
Oh, we just really appreciate y'all giving us all your support all the time, all the parents. We have the largest chapter at Fall State, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna have the biggest group at WinterCon. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
But we're really trying to run for chapter of the year, which goes on really to a national recognition with the Junior State Association. So we're really hoping for that.
And this year, it happens to be for your happy year. The big push was towards veterans. So, thanks to Dr. Jones allowing us to create this year for the first ever working together a conglomerate choir, band, JRTC, JSA, NHS. We happened to put on our first collective Veterans Day program, which is veterans is one of the big pieces for this year for JSA as being part of chapter year of Veterans Day outreach. And so this is a big part for us to push for this year to be a part of chapter of the year. So it's one of our community outreach pieces. And thanks for Dr. Jones for his support to help us hopefully go for chapter of the year this year.
Well, we are very impressed and very proud. Round of applause for these guys.
Thank you.
Congrats, guys. Yay. What a fun group. Our next recognition is for the Alamo Heights High School Special Olympics Unified Champion School. Come on down, representatives. Yay. All right. We are happy today to recognize to share the recognition that the National Special Olympics group recognized the Alamo Heights High School as a unified champion school. And here's what that means. It's a school that has an inclusive climate that exudes a sense of collaboration, engagement, and respect for all members of the student body and staff, that has a commitment to inclusion, dealing with the big topics of Special Olympics, unified sports, inclusive youth leadership, and whole school environment. Now, some of the few things, among the many things that these folks do, is that they have a unified club youth leadership group that meets regularly. They sponsor a unified 5K, a Special Olympics rally, and they have numerous campus-wide educational advisory lessons. And they're also in talks in trying to develop competitive unified sports in which you have students with disabilities along with typically developing adults competing in sports such as bowling, basketball, and track. I think maybe track might be the first on the list. If you know the high school, you know what I'm talking about. And so these guys go over and above. And so let's meet the group and let's start actually this way and we'll go that way. Tell us who you are, and if you have anybody with you, we can wave at.
Hi, I'm Carrie Mullins and I'm the Unified Co-President.
I'm Dominic Cavazos and I'm also the Unified Co-President.
I'm Erica Guerrero. I'm one of the life skills teacher and one of the Unified Champion Schools facilitator.
I'm Ruby Quiroga Sutton and I'm one of the life skill teachers.
I'm Vicky Villanueva and I'm an SST team member.
I'm Andrew Denny. I'm the Unified Theater Director.
I'm Megan Trosper. I'm our head girls basketball coach that had the privilege of working the last 2 seasons with our life skills kiddos on basketball skill work.
Yeah, that's all very impressive. Erica, is there anything else in store for this group? I mean, this is such a great honor. First in Texas? Or
first in Texas.
Only one in Texas, yeah.
Yes, it's the first in Texas, and it looks like we are on our way to be the first in Texas to earn the national banner recognition. So hopefully we'll see you back either soon at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year. And we'll have another banner to hang in the gym with all the others.
That's cool. Yeah. Let's give these guys a round of applause. Dr. Brown?
Well, I appreciate all the work that all of y'all have put together and students put together to do all of this. And I think one of the highlights I ever saw was going to our assembly a year or so ago, 2 years ago, when we had the big school-wide assembly. I thought that was a very powerful statement, and the unified plays that we've seen, and I appreciate the cross-curricular piece that y'all are doing, from athletics to theater to the classroom to everywhere on schools. And it's been neat to see our students who are even peer tutors and whatnot just make everybody in our school feel included. And I think we talk about that all the time, and being a core belief and making sure this school is about every single person that walks in the door, and y'all really model that well for us. And so I want to say thanks for all of you for the work you're doing. It takes a real team effort, I know, and how neat to be the first in Texas to get the recognition. Y'all really deserve that, so really proud of y'all.
We'd also like to invite you guys. Special Olympics of North America has selected us as the school they're going to highlight in the country this year, and we're going to have a conference February 27th, and we would appreciate the whole community coming and seeing our program as we showcase what we do.
About 300 people will be here in Alamo Heights High School visiting the campus, and I think I sent y'all maybe an agenda just to kind of give you a heads up on it, so we appreciate that.
Well, congratulations. We're so proud of you guys. We got some goodies. Yeah. It's in recognition that I haven't seen you without the beard in a while. I didn't recognize you.
I thought I was one of the students.
I thought you were. That's right.
It's a good look.
Yeah. I know we got some we do have one more. Yeah, so we have one more if you guys can wait before you settle out. Yeah, can you wait a second? We have to hear from our high school student council president, Kathleen Marshall. Give us an update.
Hi, I'm the student council president, and so we had our Do Be Nice Week I talked about last time, and that was back in November, and that is a big success, and everyone in school is still like doing our motto and just like being nice to everyone and having like a great community in the school and stuff, and everyone's very like inclusive of everyone, and so our environment is just to make everyone happier, more positive. And we just did shoes for kids, so we had some kindergartners come up to the high school, and we had some like high school like peers to be with them, and like they were their buddies for the day. And we went to Payless to go get them some shoes for the winter, and we got some coats for them for like the winter time. And so that was really fun, and we got to watch Christmas movies and stuff and eat cookies and decorate. And then Student Council is trying to collect lots of students to walk with us in the Martin Luther King March. And so we're trying to get a lot of people to do that right now. And then we have our blood drive coming up in January. And since we only have one this year, we're hoping to make it like really big. And so that's all we have right now.
Great.
So we'll have more updates later.
Thanks. Thank you so much. This does end our recognition, so if you were here for that, you're welcome to leave, but you can also welcome for the rest of to stay for the rest of the board meeting. So you do as you choose. Thank you so much for being here.
Good job.
Okay, our next item up is Section 3, Citizens to be Heard. I didn't receive any of the sheet I mentioned earlier, but if there's anybody who wanted to make comments, this is kind of the time. So, okay. Next section up is Section 4, Items for Presentation of Possible Action. The first is a presentation of the 2017 Annual Report. Patty?
Hello.
And Rosalinda.
Oh,
Patty Rosalinda here.
Just an extension.
Before we get started, I want to let you know that one of our team members is here tonight. The first time she's been able to be with us in 10 years. This is our 10-year anniversary, so we're celebrating. Laura Humphreys has been doing the layout for our annual report and doing layout for our school views for 10 years. Great mentor to me, and I just want to recognize her. So grateful for her. Very creative lady, and just great heart for Alamo Heights, and she loves this project. So just wanted to take a moment to recognize her, and if she needed to slip out and be with family, of course her son was recognized today. Her daughter's in the brochure too, and her son. So, and her husband is an awesome photographer and helps us out a lot too. So great family for us to be mentoring with. So thank you, Humphreys. All right, so we are going to get started tonight, and I thought thank you. I thought it's the holiday season. Let me just put this in perspective for you. It's the time when you get your holiday cards, you get those fabulous letters from families telling you about all of the great things that are happening, all the wonderful accolades that are happening in their families and lives. So we're here to be your little holiday greeting today and give you that Christmas holiday letter, okay? So we're going to start with the day-to-day. And when I say day-to-day, I'm talking about our social media posts. And we work with a company called Meltwater to be our ear in social media, and just kind of listen to what the world is saying about Alamo Heights, our schools, different people, clubs, organizations, all of that. So we put together what's called a Pulse Report, and we're going to take you through quickly some of the engagement and information that we participate in on a yearly basis. So we're going to look at things like exposure, number of news articles that are featured that mention the keywords Alamo Heights ISD. We're going to give you some top headlines. We're also going to tell you about some of the advertising value that we are actually getting back for the bang for the buck, if you will. We're going to talk about potential reach, just how far that Alamo Heights title is reaching into our community and our world. And we're going to share some of the top publications that we're featured in and the sentiment that we get back on some of our posts and the conversations that are being had. Thank you, Emma. Emma's driving for us tonight, so we appreciate that. So in this slide, we're talking about communications, and you'll see the numbers there on the left side. 10,000 media exposure, that is the number of online measures of different articles, posts. That could be local news media that has online posts. It could be MySA, the Houston Chronicle, blogs, any of those types of online engagement opportunities. We have reached out to 10,000 people potentially. Same thing with social media, 10,000. We have 50 million reach. And when I say, I'm sorry, media exposure is the time that we're actually 10,000 times we have been on media. Alamo Heights has been mentioned on media. Reach is driving by. Drive that billboard that you're driving by that you're seeing, and maybe you're going to be engaged with them. Maybe it's that pass on your phone. 50 million people have that opportunity to engage with us. The ad value, $466,000 in ad value for all of the times that we have presence in different publications and different features, and 28 publications over the course of the year that our name has been featured in. Moving on. So here is just a comparison from last year. Remember last year we came to you for the first time and kind of shared just some basics of what we were doing social media wise. So you can see that we have really grown the engagement over the course of a year. Again, you see that $466,000 value, ad value, the media exposure, again, that number's there. And I would attribute a lot of this to the Engage Classroom. They are doing just an amazing job. Our teachers have really started sharing what they're doing in the classrooms on Twitter and different social media forums. They're shooting videos, they're sharing that out, they're engaging, they're participating in slow chats and all kinds of different things. So they're really pulling in that engagement for us, and we're able to share our story through them, which is even better for us. So we love that. So here's a slide that's going to just give you some examples of media exposure with some specific stories. You'll see that from like April to June, there was a peak period, and another peak from like June to about August. And at the top, you'll see some little dialogue boxes that will highlight some of the specific stories. One of them is our bond package and proposal and all of the stories and the proposal, and it was featured in the Houston Chronicle. Wow, that's pretty cool that our bond package was featured in the Houston Chronicle. The other big news that we celebrated was the AHISD Excellence in Education. So that, you know, when you think about us pushing that out, AHISD was also pushing it out, other school districts were pushing it out, and we were tagged with them. A lot of our staff was pushing it out, so that would, you know, accommodate all of the conversations and the exposure that we got. One of the other high points, just one story from that period of time with legislative issues, some of the things that our district and several other districts in Bexar County were involved in, and lots of great conversation going on about that. You'll see some of the top things: San Antonio, the district, high school, the legislative issues, and of course the awards. And then you'll see some of the top sources, the places where we caught most of our stories, and they're local. Did you have a question?
What's the y-axis measuring right here? Like I get the peaks and the troughs, but like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, like 10 what?
I believe that's like thousands of hits, or I should say mentions.
Okay.
Yes. All right, so we're going to move on. And if you have questions at any time, please stop me and ask me. Again, you're going to see the potential reach here, those busy periods, once again, the potential reach that we had there. And I can't see it that far. I should look at my phone. I need readers.
For the Houston Chronicle was the 16 million? Or?
Yes, thank you, Rosalinda. So you'll see, like, the Houston Chronicle has 16 million potential reach. So just by having a story, an article on their online presence really helps us boost our numbers.
And what we learned is that the San Antonio Express uses a Hearst newspaper, and so is the Cron. So they pick up a lot of the stories.
Define again what reach means.
It's how many people, so let's say somebody shares a story, so it goes to that person, and you're kind of just going through your phone and you're swiping through. So it's on any social platform that you're like kind of just, so you're driving by.
So it's hitting a set of eyes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And they may not click and read it.
Exactly, yeah.
But the story is driving.
On Twitter, they're impressions. Facebook, it's reach. Yes, that's what that is.
And does it include print subscriptions?
If it's posted online, yes. For that
So
one, it is.
It's not, all of this is digital. All of this is digital. So we're not even calculating in these reports the print, because sometimes they'll print stuff in the Express News, but it doesn't make it online.
Yeah.
Most of the time it does, but if they do those big, huge articles on us, beautiful articles, it doesn't always. So
this is online only, no
online
print.
only, yes. And the numbers on the side, I'm sorry, those are in the millions of mentions.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. Again, we're hitting you with that advertising, the potential advertising value, and they have a formula, and it was in that first slide on how they calculate all of that. It's like 37 cents. You probably understand this way better than we do at this point, so you see the value of what we're sharing here in this slide. So we're going to move forward. So these are some of the top headlines, and that is, again, by engagement and by reach. The renderings of the Alamo Heights ISD $135 million bond, amazing. 2 school districts on niche in Texas rankings. University of Texas changes automatic admission. I believe Frank was quoted in that article. The Alamo Heights ISD initiative to expand, that's related to our engaged classrooms.
It was on KSAT. Sandra was in that video, yeah.
We have all our superstars in the room tonight. Tolerance, anti-bullying, that's all our Heart of Heights stuff, our character.org stuff. Of course, the big HEB award that we love, and Heather Smith just recently with the Excel Award, and those are just a few of the top headlines. We're going to show you some more a little bit later. So now we're moving into, that was all like digital content, newspapers online, if you will. Now we're moving into the social conversations with our social media platforms. Times we were mentioned on different blogs, people that have commented, Facebook, different forums, all of the different places that we have been mentioned in that Alamo Heights ISD name. Again, I want to reiterate, when we listen, we don't just listen for the name. We listen for Dude Be Nice. We listen for Dr. Cordell Jones. We listen for Dr. Frank Alfaro. We listen for Engaged Classroom. We listen for Cambridge Elementary, Woodridge Elementary. We have all these names that we pull in and we listen for. So every morning we get a report on what is hitting, what is pegging, what was pulled into a story, whose name. Believe it or not, there's a Dr. Brown in California that we pick up all the time and see what he's doing as well. So it's kind of interesting to be able to do that every morning and engage and listen and see what's happening. So as we do that, moving on, you'll see this slide actually tells you the exposure by source. So you see that we have Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and then this is just a different way of looking at that initial slide. Of course, our mentions on blogs and forums and comments from others.
So we get way more exposure on Twitter than we do on Facebook?
Yeah.
We have, yes.
People tweet.
Robust.
And our teachers are amazing
It's
at
inclusive
that.
of that, of our teachers tweet now.
It's
We retweet,
yes,
yes.
it's very inclusive of
Yeah,
that. With the
half of it's
yes,
nice.
there's 2 of them right there that are big video and Twitter folks, and I'm so glad they're here tonight because Rosalind is going to show some great stuff with something they did. So moving on, so this is just a sentiment analysis. So in the green area, that's the positive stuff. Those are some of the top stories that were reflected as positive. In the little small, tiny, minuscule, very small, probably don't even notice it, red box is the negative sentiment. So you'll see that over the period of time from January to December 10th, 2017, we had very small negative perceptions, very good positive, and then there was about 30% neutrality. And I do want to mention some of the high points, some of the most positive sentiment stories were related to the HEB story, Dr. Bashara winning the Biz Journal Award, different things like that. One of them was actually the Dude Be Nice, and we're going to tell you more in a little while. And then the negative stuff, sometimes we get comments from students or former students or people that maybe just have a perception, a preconceived perception, and maybe they make comments. Or, for example, the first story is related to the student who passed away, and it was perceived, a death is perceived in a negative way. We had students that were in a car accident in the summer. That's perceived in a negative way. So it's not necessarily negative to the district, but maybe it's just the way we perceive it, our sentiment about something, an issue or something like that. So for the most part, we are received in a very positive manner on our social media. So moving on.
Does Meltwater do this for like other school districts too?
Yes.
And will they give you like anonymous comparatives and say, we have a 67% positive whatever thing that compares like this with other school districts?
Absolutely, absolutely. We actually looked side by side at other districts when we were preparing this report for you to see what kind of information might be valuable to you, and so we were able to pull. We can certainly do that.
Cool.
And here's just an example of some of the top posts on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube, some blogs, and on Twitter. Of course, the HEB Excellence Awards was a big hit. Supergoop, I don't know if you guys knew, but they came and they did a big project at Howard, and they pushed out our story, and so we got a lot of hits off of that.
That was in the Wall Street Journal.
Yes, so amazing. YouTube, our very own Emily Rangel was pinpointed for Dude Be Nice, and she threw in Alamo Heights High School in the title, and it totally picked that up and shared out, and Rosalind is going to tell you more about that. Very exciting. Nikki Lofton is an author who visited Cambridge Elementary, and she pushed a lot of stuff out on social media about how fabulous her visit was and how she loved the students. And of course, Twitter. Baseball America is just one of the many folks that are tweeting about Forrest Whitley and Alamo Heights and his time here. So a lot of diversity, a lot of good stuff going out that's not pushed out by us, that other people are having conversations about with regards to Alamo Heights. So now I'm going to turn it over to Rosalinda, who's going to tell you a little bit about our local.
Yeah, this is stuff that we actually push out. So the first one is Facebook that we're covering, and these are going to be the top videos that have happened throughout this year. And so, of course, during August we have our convocation, and our car karaoke was 10,000 views. Yeah, it was really awesome. We had so many people from neighboring districts actually, like, they were like commenting on the site or telling us personally how awesome that was, and they really enjoyed that. So back in August, it was the car karaoke, and then it's followed by actually the Dude Be Nice story. We had more than 8,000 views on that. And what we do with our videos, we upload them to our YouTube channel, but we don't link them from YouTube through Facebook. And that's only because a conference I went to, they suggested that we just load those individually into YouTube, so you get a different set of numbers through there. And that it's better to load them here because when people are watching the videos, they're actually playing. And sometimes people are now watching videos without listening to the sound. So sometimes you're going to start seeing captions on everything. That's how it goes. So that's our second highest video, is the Dude Be Nice, and that was 8.3 thousand views. And what's awesome about this is that Dude Be Nice is actually the company that Andrew Walton works with, and Miss Rain Hale over there. They're out of California, and they actually shared our posts. So it's amazing the things that are happening. You know, they see our stuff and then they share us out. Also, I always like to see who's following us, and so there were some names on there. There were just names, so I clicked on them, and there were neighboring districts. Comal ISD, their wellness counselor. People are watching what we're doing, so kudos to you. Yeah, so I think that's really awesome. So we're becoming that district that they're watching to see what kind of things we're doing. It's good and it's scary at the same time. Yeah, the next time. So the third most watched on Facebook this year was actually a Facebook Live, and it's actually when Eric Cruz, it was awesome because Dr. Jones was our, I guess you could say, our talent, and he was talking about the event, and then of course Eric Cruz walks out, and it was just Facebook Live, so that got more than 6,000 views, and that was, like I said, a Facebook Live. And I had to throw the number 4 in there because that's Melanie Peters, and Channel 4 actually picked up the story after we did it, I might say. So we got almost 8,000 views on Melanie Peters. That was one of the highest up until the car karaoke one. And the reason I put the one down at the corner, that's our Educators in Action. And that one got 2,000 views. That's normally kind of our everyday kind of stories that we do on a typical day. So I like to watch a district that's a lot bigger than we are, and they have teams of communication people, and they're kind of the people that use the Snapchat and the innovative ways and everything. So I'm constantly watching what they're doing. But it's amazing to see how we compare on any given day. What they're doing, they don't even go over 2,000 views. So what the numbers that we're hitting, at least from what I'm comparing with this other district, is amazing what we're doing. I've never seen more than 3,000 views hit on their Facebook. So we're getting some incredible numbers. That's what I think.
So great stories about people, great stories about the work that we're doing, the profile, all of the story that we want to share.
Yeah, and then so Instagram, we're growing it slowly. We have 644 followers, and this was the Dude Be Nice. This is the one that got the most likes, if you will, the hearts. It had 425 hearts, if you will, the likes. So it was the Chris Evans story, and it was awesome. And this is actually a video. And actually, it's just like a 3-second video, and Patty's actually in it giving Chris a high five. So it's really awesome. Oh, you know what? Let's show it. You have it right there. It's only a minute and like 25 seconds. The actual story that was loaded. I don't know. Did you guys see that one? The Dude Be Nice.
I don't think I deserve more than anybody else. I don't think I deserve more than anybody else. I'm very happy.
It was freaking amazing. It was freaking amazing. Today is the culmination of the Do Be Nice week. And today we got to honor Chris Evans, our one of our custodial staff. It was our student body who voted for him. We, in advisory, sent out a survey, and the student body overwhelmingly said, we want to honor this dude that we see being nice all the time, picking up after ourselves, cleaning the trash, and all that kind of stuff.
As a part of Dude Be Nice, we're honoring a staff member who exemplifies what it means to be kind on a daily basis. Mr. Chris Evans is kind. Mr. Chris Evans is kind, going to work, and does so with a positive attitude. We students have something to learn from Mr. Chris Evans, and on behalf of the student body, thank you, sir.
Chris, how do you feel?
I'm embarrassed.
Well, this is a job for everybody.
I know, but it's not me, it's for everybody else. Everybody does a great job.
What do you want to say to the students?
Thank you guys very much, I really appreciate it.
What a great
So that one was an awesome story. So, and going back to the PowerPoint.
I'll just say, if you notice, one of the Woodridge staff posted on there that they missed him at Woodridge. And I don't know if you remember, but he used to read to kids. And we honored him with a spotlight many years ago for working with kids who were struggling readers. I thought, so it just goes to show that he's really one of our champs.
And he was real emotional. If you have a chance, see the first part, and he can't even talk. He's just very emotional. Okay, moving on to YouTube, and I'll make this one pretty quick. These are the top 10 videos. We've been in the YouTube channel business for 3 years now, and these are actually the top 10 videos that have played in the last 3 years. And so if you see down there, there's HEB in there. The Get Real on the Bus is what transportation uses kind of to tell the kids the rules on the bus, so we kind of tailored it for them. Yeah, so it was kind of fun making those. So those are the top 10 videos on YouTube, and you have from like 1,000 views to like 439 views on the Big Red project. So those are top videos that have been, so basically what that means is people went and clicked on them. They may have not finished them, but they clicked on them. So that's top videos. The next slide, Emma. And these are the top viewership. So they actually watched most of it or some of it. So the ones that have been watched a lot are actually the TASA performance. And then see, there's that Educators in Action again. Those are the ones we do every other month. And then Dr. Brown's blog, Inside Heights. And then the Incubator one was also one of the top viewership as well.
So what I love about the numbers here is it may not seem as impressive as the 8,000 you see on Facebook, but people have to physically go here and select and click and watch. On Facebook, it comes to you, but here you have to select. So those are really, really nice numbers.
Yeah, so it's part of that, yeah. Okay, and then to wrap it up is with Twitter. Twitter's awesome. Twitter is awesome. So the biggest impression, and that's basically the reach. Somebody drove by it or swiped it or saw it, their eyes were on it, was the snow day. And it was the one talking about watching the weather, we'll keep you posted. There were 8,000 impressions on that one alone. And as you can see, people were like, hey, cancel school, bruh. And then they were, it was all, but it was pretty appropriate as we were monitoring it, and the cat little videos. And then as soon as we put that out, people were tagging us at AHISD. Those are just some of the pictures that we pulled off of Twitter. It was so cool, the teachers, because it was culture night. And so people were just like, everybody, it was awesome. We had more than like 300 and almost 400 engagements with that tweet alone. So that was one of the big ones. And by the way, we have 5,300 followers plus on Twitter, which is amazing as well. And then the next slide. So this one was the second one. Yes, we're having school today, and so that one got quite a bit. That one got like 4,000 impressions as well.
Not all positive.
There weren't any really bad comments on there. I think somebody said something, but yeah. But so that one was one of the ones that we had up there. It was also mentioned, though, I believe, in a KSAT story that we had seen. They were asking why we went to school on that Friday for some reason.
All the districts, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was.
We had the most positive statement, by the way. So I was proud of y'all. So that was another thing because they put each statement of each district.
Oh, really?
A lot of them were just very bureaucratic, and this was very positive. Enjoy the day. Looking forward to seeing you at school.
Yeah.
Patty and
That's
Rosalind
nice.
always do a nice job with that.
Patty had some personality and sass to it.
Yeah.
But we also try, like when Sutherland Springs happened, Patty put out a tweet, and we also got a lot of good impressions on that as well. Also, the other big one was the parade day. That one got more than 7,300 impressions. So people actually saw it on their feeds as well. So we're getting really good stuff on our social media. And like you heard, 60% of it is very, very, very positive. I think it's more, but.
What I love is that, you know, Dr. Brown always wants us to share our story and tell the story of all the great things that are happening. And we have such a beautiful presence and a beautiful voice here. And it comes from our teachers, it comes from the groups and the programs that support, that work with Alamo Heights, different businesses. And so they all say nice things. And we try to engage with different school districts and different communities when things happen, when somebody has a success. And so it's just that global conversation, and it just gives us another opportunity to exemplify the profile of the learner and just be that good, kind voice in the community. So really excited to share our day-to-day with you. Now we'd like to put it all in a report for you. So we're going to segue into the annual report. We went from 16 pages this year to 32 pages. We were trying to impress you guys. And so actually what we did was we really, again, wanted to try to share some of the story and give some of those longer pieces that might tell the story in a more vibrant way, in a more colorful way of Alamo Heights. We tried to go with some profiles of students. As you flip through, you see some new pieces. You know, we were very data heavy before. It's still there, but we've added that profile piece about students and their successes. And in some cases, they've given us comments of why Alamo Heights was important to their future. We still have the student accomplishments and the data and things, the fine arts accomplishments, all of those things. The personnel accomplishments are in there. But we also had some time to really feature and profile our educators as well. So at the Heart of Heights, focus on our students. At the Heart of Heights, our educators. At the Heart of Heights, our programs. And instead of just giving you little blurbs on the programs, we were able to do a little bit more lengthy piece. And I got a lot of help from a lot of good folks here in the district, helping me with stories, writing those pieces for me, and making them part of this comprehensive piece. You'll also see some little featurettes on the schools with just some quick information. We use these publications at job fairs, at career fairs. We give them to folks that come to the community. We send these electronically to different locations around the world, email. So people want to know all of this information. So as you flip through, you'll see some more lengthy pieces that we hope will help tell the story and give that visual, that image, but also the data that's there, of course, with the colorful pictures. It continues with, at the Heart of Heights, our programs, our amazing parental support from our foundation and our PTSOs. You may see some gray spots in there. We're still working, we're still dropping, we're still happening, and so we've got a little more work to do, but we did want to come to you and bring it to you and kind of show you where we were and what our direction was for this year.
When are you anticipating sending it out?
So we like to send it out in January. So we have some time, once you see it, we have some time to kind of clean things up, tighten things up, send it out to our principals and let them take a look at it and make any additions and corrections. So yes, January.
I have two just like comments for whatever they're worth. The state recapture Robin Hood, $34 million. I don't think a lot of people know what state recapture means. And so if it could say, I mean, you can't be this blunt, but if you could find some phrase that says your tax money sent to the state rather than to your children, you know, something like that, just so that people are aware of what's going on. Because a lot of people still aren't aware, despite what happened in the legislature this year. And the other thing, and I think this is longer term, but I'd love to figure out, so people generally do things that are celebrated by the body they're a part of. Right? And so we do a great job of celebrating academic excellence. And as we pursue the profile of a learner, employing skills for life, and encouraging kids to do other things rather than simply just get on the assembly line and go to college like everybody else, with the incubator and everything else, we've got pages of like test scores and you know, scholarships and universities. And I'd love to see something about military employment, something like that, that says, you don't have to fit the cookie cutter mold to be celebrated at Alamo Heights. I don't know what that looks like, but
So,
it's just a thought.
I will tell you, I think we're going to be able to get some of that in with our student profiles this year.
Yeah.
I have a student, we're still working on her story, who actually is like a vet's assistant, and she's working her way through college.
Right.
I will definitely add in that, I think we can definitely add in that military aspect. That's a great idea.
Anything that's measurable that just makes it look like I don't have to go to college to be celebrated. I can do something great. I can actually be employed in a full-time job and get paid $40 grand a year as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and people are going to celebrate that as an accomplishment. Because I'd love for all my kids to be employed.
One of the great stories that's in here too is about our special needs program.
Yeah, I saw that.
We
That's
profiled
really cool.
Ben, and he is an amazing story.
Right.
And just the program itself. So
I actually was looking at that, and that would be a great thing maybe to be on the first page. I mean, just because both Forrest and Abby didn't even graduate in the last calendar year, they were the year before. So maybe if we could, like, maybe just shuffle things a little, like Ella was this year and Ben was this year, and maybe shift Forrest and Abby a little further back, just because they already graduated. Just a thought.
any other questions?
You guys do an amazing job. I
Yeah,
have to
this
say,
is
the two of
great.
you, everything you do, I know
Yeah.
your hands are in a lot, so I'm so impressed. Thank you.
I love all the metrics. It's impressive. I love hearing all that. It's really cool. You seem like you have a really good grasp on all that. I think
She
that's.
does.
I mean, that's such an evolving field right now that I'm very impressed with the way you
just have to
already.
read up and keep up with it all.
Well, and it's changing literally by the minute. So yeah, that's very impressive.
So, side question: you're building like a tremendous megaphone on social media. Like that's what you're trying to do, and I love that. If you walk into USAA, they have like this big television panel, and they're showing all of the social media mentions of their institution, positive and negative. And so I'm wondering, like going forward, as we build a louder and louder megaphone and a bigger platform, it will attract more and more people, some of whom won't be as complimentary. And so do we have a way to kind of look at the things that are being said, and should we leave that comment on there or not? I mean, if there's haters that are just going to get on our social media platform and use our megaphone to bring us down, like, do we have a way of looking at that or policing it?
So every day we listen through Meltwater. Every day we get a report that comes right to our desktop.
So they're doing the watching. Okay.
They're watching, and they're helping direct the traffic towards to us.
Yeah.
So we see what people are saying. There's been times when somebody has said something, and we've been able to call a campus principal and say, "Hey, I saw this. Just wanted you to know," and they might need to handle something. Or we have people that maybe make comments, and we can direct message them through the back door of Twitter. We can message them through Facebook and maybe alleviate some of their concerns. We have people that are concerned about things that may have happened, or they have questions. So we can directly talk to people. And then sometimes we have face-to-face conversations with folks if things are really, if they need things answered or want a face-to-face. So we're already doing some of that, but absolutely I can see that.
And our community's on it, like they fight for us too.
Well, I saw like Danny Porch making a mention on there, like defending something, and I was like, that's great.
And 9 times out of 10, they don't understand. Like the Eric Cruz story, they're like, "Oh, that's so Alamo Heights that he's getting, new cars or whatever." So someone went in there and said, "They're not spending a dime. That's something that's total, Principal Auto doing on their own."
Right.
So and that was a community.
And that should be celebrated.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, y'all.
I want to just make a comment that, I've been here a long enough time that it's amazing the transformation that's happened, you know, over time. And so both Rosalinda and Patty are very talented and they're very confident, and y'all know that. Actually, the biggest thing they have going for them is, and that we have going for us, is their passion for the district and the real love of the work we're doing and the relationships that they've built with our staff and community. They're really just genuinely positive ambassadors for the work we're doing, and that's something that you can't put a number on, right? So I appreciate that. They're always really passionate about this. I don't know how they keep up with all social media. Like, you know, I get more tweets from them. It all goes straight to my phone. And I'll look, I'm like, what are they doing over there? You know, it's just constant stuff, but it's really neat too. And it's very.
We have a lot of help. We have a lot of help. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Good job.
That's really good stuff,
Can we turn the AC on?
Sorry? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little warm in here.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I got it. I got it.
Kind of meet in the middle.
Are you ready?
It's about which side of the table.
Maybe we should
I know.
just switch sides.
I know, that's the warmer side.
It like literally blows. Right.
I turned it 1
You should
degree.
switch because she's wearing a wool coat and she's still
We'll
cold.
see how it goes.
Okay, next up is the consideration of cultures of the Mediterranean trip for the Alamo Heights students on July 15th through 24th, 2019.
Yay, welcome.
So see you back. So we're really excited about this trip. I just led one this past summer. I took over for Laura Davenport. She led a Europe trip every summer, and I think she got in a car accident or something a couple years ago, and she was like, I can't really walk around Europe, so you want to take it over for me? You're young. So I said, sure. So I led 3 kids last year, Paris, Madrid, and Barcelona. And it was super successful. This company is great. I didn't have to do a thing, so I just got to watch them the whole time and enjoy myself.
Hey, Emily, real quick, I'm going to stop you and make sure that everybody knows who both of you are. So Emily is our culinary arts teacher and doing a super job. And Andy is a Spanish teacher and also doing a super job. And they have their hands in a lot of things. Emily's so good, we're building her a whole building. And I'm sorry, you have a building, but they're really both great teachers. So this stuff that they're doing on top of their normal day.
We're also sponsors of Student Council.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So ACIS is the company that Alamo Heights partners with to do Europe trips. And this Europe trip that we're going to do is freshmen through juniors. There's already one that's senior led every summer. So it's freshman through junior, whoever wants to join. We can even reach out to 8th graders this year, because this is 2019, so it'll be the next summer. It is culture of Mediterranean, so we'll be going to, let's see, Barcelona, Provence, Nice, Montiatini. I should probably learn how to say that. And Rome. So it's all along the coast. So we have a language teacher here who we're going to see Spanish, French, and Italian. And then culinary food science, we get to see and compare and contrast the different cuisines from 3 different countries along the Mediterranean. So it's totally cool. Like, we can reach out to language and food kids, but just any kid who wants to go can go. We want to get this approved now, super early, so we can start just getting a big group. Because we went, and I had 3 kids, but all these other schools that we traveled around with had huge groups, and they just had blasts together. So we want to have a meeting when we come back from the break with parents and kids to introduce this trip. And
just to reiterate what she was saying, kind of what, I know you saw me last month, and that's for 2018, and now that I know how to do things, I wanted to make it a little bit earlier for 2019, but it's kind of to help the World Language Department in the essence of, we're going to have an immersion trip one year, and then an inclusive European trip the next year, and even years will be one, odd years will be another, so that way we can ensure that French and Latin are also able to enjoy their own cultures and countries as well.
Any questions?
Are you guys doing any fundraising? Because I'm going to cost probably pretty.
So ACIS does have an opportunity for scholarships. They do that too, but we haven't really discussed it yet. We're going to see kind of what like how many kids are really interested. So we might have some kids saying, hey, I really want to go, but I don't think I can afford this. So we can find a way. I mean, there's tons of things that we could do.
And then starting so soon, kind of my aspect of this from leading the Costa Rica trip was starting now, we can have families on payment plans.
Yeah, they have that through there. We could just start now and just pay off and it'd be done.
That's really great. I have a speech that I give every time somebody goes out of the country, and it's just a reminder of making sure kids and adults follow the same rules as if it was a school event. So I know we go to Europe and we're tasting all kinds of great food. Just a reminder about minors drinking and adults as well. Because you're on the job per se at a school event, it's just making sure that we follow those rules. And I know y'all always do amazing jobs with that, so I'm not worried about it, but I always feel the need to say it.
Totally.
Because they're representing our community and our school district, and we want it to be a great activity. And I'm really always appreciative that y'all take the initiative to do something like this. You know, my version of a good time is not necessarily supervising 35 teenagers when I'm on my vacation, you know, and so the fact that y'all do that I think is awesome. And I know it's a really compelling experience for them, and I think it opens up the world. You know, we kind of live in this bubble. It's important for kids to get out of that and see that things are different in other places. And so doing that is really great. So thank you for doing it, and thanks for representing us so well and being great models for everything.
And also, I think it's a little unusual we're getting approval this early, but I understand that. But just, I would say too, if anything changes materially, if you guys come back like a side trip to the Ukraine or something like that. Probably need to deliberate that. So, okay.
Little trip to North Korea.
Yeah.
Quick question, do you speak all the languages?
No, I do not. I wish.
Okay.
I will be. That's one of my 2018 goals is to learn French.
All three.
So you'll be good by summer of
2019. Have it down.
But y'all have tour guides that can.
From the moment we landed to the moment they dropped us off, our tour guide was with us the entire time. She even stayed at the hotels we stayed at, so she had everything like 24-hour. Like I could call her if I had a problem or whatever, and it left me like, okay, I could just go to sleep and I don't have to stay up all night and worry about everything. But yeah, they're totally in a lot of English speakers. I mean, they made it super easy for us to fit in and do stuff.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I have a motion to approve the Mediterranean trip for Alamo Heights students on July 15th through 24th as presented.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Next up is consideration for approval of the Alamo Heights High School cheerleaders to attend the Nationals in Orlando, Florida on February 8th through 13th, 2018.
Hi, I'm Ashley Johnson. I'm the cheer coach. I as well teach PE health, and I love it. I love it. So fun. I'm proposing the national trip. We take every year, and we are very successful when we go. Where should I start? Just from the beginning?
Yeah, just tell us about the trip, and you might just tell us about some of your success briefly about past years too.
Okay, so for the past, going on my 5th year now, we have placed in the top 10. Last year, we were in the top 16 in the nation. There's usually about 28 to 36 teams that compete against us from all over. We're one of the recognized names now for UCA. And prior to me, they were placing in the top 20 consistently as well. And then we go to regionals every year to try to get a bid to nationals. So we were successful in that this year, and we actually took more than 2 teams to that. We were successful getting a 3rd team in. So we're taking a JV team, a varsity team, so those are 2 performances, and then a game day team, which we have been successful at for the past 2 years at the state level, winning UIL in the gold in all divisions last year, and then the year before in the overall cheer, overall fight song, and then the overall game day perspective, which is really neat. So, yes.
How many girls are in the program?
There are 42 cheerleaders right now and 2 mascots.
Cool.
So
The JV and varsity?
There's 11, so we're a little bit different than other districts. If you're a freshman cheerleader, you have to cheer freshmen like games, so football, we attend some basketball, but they cheer varsity basketball as well. And then sophomores on JV, juniors can be on JV, but they can also be on varsity. And then juniors, seniors are varsity. So that's a normal game day team. And then for competitions, you can have a freshman on varsity comp, or we call it performance, and then game day as well. So on the JV level, there are 15 competing on the floor. Varsity, there are 20 competing on the floor because we're by division, large. And then game day, we're super large, so 30 compete. So you do have about 11, 12 girls not competing on that game day team, but because UIL and UCA limit your number on the floor, so you take the top 30. So, and it's a little bit different than performance because for performance, you're looking more at tumbling skills. So fulls, and I can actually just get into a lot of cheer talk right now. Sorry, I always forget my audience sometimes. Sometimes my husband's like, what? Okay, so yes, so you get into like higher skill tumbling, where game day, you can literally take the girl who just loves to cheer at games, which I think is amazing, and they don't have that skill set per se. So they still get the competing side of it, and for UIL to recognize that is huge. So yes, so we're competing that as well at nationals. And last year we placed 8th, and then the year before we actually placed 3rd behind Greenup County, who's a legend in the cheer world from Kentucky, and then Live Oak from Louisiana. So you usually hear Live Oak, Alamo Heights, Greenup, Mount Sinai, which is a New York or New Jersey team, I believe, and then the Bambi is St. Hubert's. It's a private school that we compete against too. So we're pretty successful. So our overview, so we're going for 5 nights stay. We do stay at Disney. For the schedule, just so you guys know, I work for National Cheerleaders Association. It's a cheer company. So I treat it as if I'm head instructing a camp. So day 0 is what I call our travel day. On February 8th, we'll leave in the morning. And we get into Orlando about 1 p.m., 1:30. We'll take a shuttle to the hotel. The girls unpack, eat something, and we'll have a light practice that evening. February 9th is going to be our day 1. We'll practice when we wake up in the morning. And then they actually do school from about 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., 3:30. And depending how practice went on day 0 night, we will, day 1 morning, we'll revisit and say we're going to practice for an hour, hour and a half that afternoon. And then we go to dinner as a program, and parents that are not chaperoning but attending the event, come join us for dinner somewhere. We haven't actually locked something down just yet. Usually it's at the hotel or Planet Hollywood. And then day 2, we compete, and that is going to be at ESPN. And then day 3, we will compete again, God willing that we make it into finals. There are 3 stages of this competition. There's semis, prelims, semis, and finals. And then you also compete no matter what Sunday, which is day 3, in the evening for game day. So they are possibly performing 3 routines per group. So the whole time, so 6 total routines that Alamo Heights will put out that day. And if you think about it, it's very endurance, intense, exhausting, but the girls love it. Definitely athletic. And then on February 12th, it's going to be our day 4. It's the park day. They will enjoy themselves at the parks with their chaperones. We all meet in the morning for breakfast, and then we kind of just disperse, and everybody has an adult with them when we go. And then February 13th, we'll return to San Antonio around noon, I believe, is when our flight comes back. So, I will be going. Miss Temple is one of our math teachers. She also just comes in and volunteers. She's another set of eyes. She worked for UCA. She just retired from that this year because she's pregnant. Yay. But yes, so she comes with us, and then Mr. Post, our trainer, will be coming along. And then also we have a volunteer assistant from the special education department, Coach Gabe. So he will be attending. And then the cost is $1,190 per student athlete, and then any meal money that they come along with. But we also take fundraising money and provide meals for them, definitely on day 2 and 3 after competition. And they'll as well get a meal voucher, and we pay for the program meal on Friday night. So they're getting 4 to 5 meals from the program while we're there, which is anywhere from $15 to $20 per person. So, and then going on down, we're staying at the Animal Kingdom Resort this year. We've stayed at a couple different ones every year. Animal Kingdom was able to accommodate us this year, and then a number of participants coming. We have 41 cheerleaders, 4 staff members, and then I included our chaperones just in case, and I wanted Dr. Jones to know who was coming along as well. We have Leslie Gruhe, Kristen Northington, Christine Lynn, those are all senior moms and captain moms, Debbie Binky, Laura Christensen, Joy Furman, Leanne Hulse, our junior moms, also officer moms, and then Leanne Hulse and Jennifer Johnson, and Dr. Rio Gregory are sophomore moms, and then Beth Hauser is a freshman mom. So we're just splitting up girls per grade. So
It's an impressive group that you have that many parents going.
Yes, and they fund themselves. We pay for their dinner as a program on Friday night to thank them, but they do come along, but I think more the merrier. And then on Park Day, if we have extra parents there, they just join in on those groups to help out. The more eyes, the better. So.
Yeah. And is this like finals for? Is it like 5A or is it the same size schools or is it not a?
Yeah, it's kind of like 5A. So you have a large division, they have a D1 or D2. So based on numbers, if we break it UIL class like that, then yes, sir, you'll see above 1,800 for D1, and then below, some. I'm just throwing out numbers.
No, I guess I was just curious.
So, but these schools, I always tell the girls. So I don't know if you're aware, but cheer at Alamo Heights cheers from August to basically May. I mean, we do have tryouts in March, and so a new team comes and transitions in, but our seniors are great, and they always stay around to help out between that March and April time, and they still have one big pep rally to do in April. So we have about 41 to 55 girls in that transition time, just splitting up and going to everything, and we cheer football, basketball, volleyball, baseball, softball, soccer, we do it all. And these schools like St. Hubert's and Mount Sinai, and Live Oak is pretty similar to us, but those two schools in particular, they don't have to cheer football. They don't play football on a Friday night. They play on a Saturday morning, and they're not required to go to those games. So these girls, and they don't have practice time limitations like Texas puts with UIL. So these girls can practice 4 to 10 on a Wednesday night, and they also can practice from August to February before they leave every Friday night, every Saturday. And so, and they also start practicing in June for nationals. We don't start practicing for nationals and get our actual routines until August when we return from break. And they get all of June and half of July off. So we're pretty successful. And I always try to tell them that it's not about winning that title at nationals. It's about the experience that you're getting while you're there and the real world experience. You have to wake up at 6 a.m. by yourself. I'm not in your room with you. 3 other high school age kids are. You have to be responsible for that. I give them the same itinerary basically that you're seeing with expectations, rules, dress. This is what you need to be wearing. This is how your hair needs to look. This is what time we're meeting. Be there or you're going to have to have a conversation. So, and it's great. I mean, by junior year, sophomores are a little like, okay, I think I got this. So we always put them with an older girl to make sure on that part. Freshmen go with the sophomores. The juniors and seniors pretty much together, but they get it, and it's so exciting to see the growth.
Okay, any other questions?
Just a comment, Ashley. I heard you did a nice job at the leadership council with the kids. Some of the kids were talking about it, that they felt like it was really good, and I heard it from a coach as well. Okay. So I know you led that session last time. That's that athletic leadership, or not athletic, it's just leaders on campus. That were a part of that. So I know you put a lot of time and effort into that, and I heard you really design that. So thanks for taking that seriously, because we're really trying to look at developing student leaders across the board and building a culture of student leadership. And so I appreciate that very much. And congratulations on 2 years in a row as state champions.
Thank you.
It's a big deal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the Alamo Heights High School cheerleaders trip to attend the Nationals in Orlando on February 8th through 13th?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Good job.
To see you guys soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, the item we've all been waiting for, Section D. Consideration of the 2016-17 financial audit.
Thank you.
Sorry to make you wait so long.
Oh, no, it's no problem. I'm here for you. And we apparently coordinated haircuts, and I coordinated ties today. So.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Oh, how funny.
I'm not on my best behavior for the microphone, so it's a little intimidating.
Yeah.
So it'd be for everybody. But for those of you who are lucky enough to be on the audit committee, we've already kind of discussed this, so I will keep it brief, but please interrupt me if you have any questions. I'll start out with just the letter that goes with the audit. And there's not really anything of particular note this year. We didn't have any findings. Nothing that we thought would be worth your while that you would be interested in. We did have a comment last year about the Excel after school program and just we've had some trouble in the past of following the money from the Excel after school program after it comes here to central office, and we were able to pin them down this year and see their documentation a little bit better, and we feel a lot better about that. So obviously that comment's not in the letter this year. The rest of the letter is just kind of some required communications, nothing of particular note. So I would like to jump into the financials, which I think Emma was in and then jumped out of. But on page 49 was your budget to actual statement, and it will show your performance for last year.
Did we get those?
Mm-hmm.
It's in your board.
In your board, but I've noticed we don't have one.
This because we're on the
audit committee.
Oh, audit committee.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
We get perk.
We got hard copies.
I forgot mine next to my bed. I was reading it last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
You memorized it?
Yeah.
So at the top of that page, you'll see that your revenues beat the projection by a little over 300,000, and your expenditures on most lines were just barely under. So the total expenditures, just at the bottom of that section, were under in total. They were up about 4% over the prior year if we don't count the contracting instructional services, which probably makes less sense than state recapture. But that's $33 million. If you take that out, you're up about 4%. And if you remember, you had the TASB staff salary review last year, so that was a lot of the increase.
Mm-hmm.
So just below that, the revenues were short of your expenditures by $895,000, but also in your expenditures this year was $650,000 for the loss recovery group for the insurance claim that you had. So if you took that out as kind of a not extraordinary item, but an unusual item, we're a little bit closer to break even last year.
Mm-hmm.
Then just below that, you see the $5.8 million for the rest of the insurance. You had some the year before and this amount this year that was negotiated. So overall, the net change in fund balance, that third column there, the $4.89 million is what you increased your fund balance. So you ended at $19.1 million, which is right around a little over 5 months of your operating costs. The general rule of thumb is you don't want to go below 3, and 6 is usually it's considered fairly healthy. So you're right in that sweet spot. However, I know your budget this year doesn't look quite as good, so that'll eat into that. But you have a little bit more cushion. Last year you were only at about 4 months, so you've increased it about a month this year. And then flipping to back to page 18, has the rest of your governmental funds and their results for last year.
Hey, really quick, and I think Mike, you talked through this, but I'm just gonna ask real quick. So we had the insurance recovery give us, 5.8 or whatever into the fund balance, which gives us 5 months or whatever, all in. We've got about 5 months operating. Is that insurance recovery money going to flow out to cover roofing costs, or is that already budgeted through bond and other improvements? Okay. So then we can actually say that this fund balance is what we can expect, through next year with no material changes other than just from our normal expenditures.
Yeah, so the budget's negative for
right. So we'll see a drop just because of that, but we're not going to see like some big outflow because we've got to pay for the roof. Okay.
Sure. And Mike usually does if you follow Mike's history, his first budget's usually the worst one. Just to scare everybody. Yeah, then it gets better as it goes along. So I don't know how tight that $2.2 million loss in the original budget is, but
it makes it look good.
Much appreciated.
Yeah. Gives me a heart attack.
So then on this page, you'll see the debt service fund. If you'll just kind of scroll down to the bottom, you'll see in the other financing sources, the $26 million in that debt service fund column was the refunding bond. That was, it comes in and it goes out to pay off the bond. That did save $10 million over 15 years, and with a present value of $7 million. So That was a pretty big impact. And that debt service fund ended with the $2.3 million in the fund balance. In a perfect world, that would be zero. That means you had perfect tax collection and it was the right amount to pay off your debt. So you have a little bit of extra money in there, and I think Mike is going to use that to help offset some of the debt service from the new bonds to help buy down your tax rate a little bit over the next few years. It won't make much of a dent, but there is a little bit of a dent there to have. Then right next to that column is the capital projects fund, which had the $15 million from the new bonds this year, and about 3.9 of that was spent. So you have 11.6 left off the first round, and Mike has said he's got the next round planned for this summer. And then on the next page has the one other column, which ended at the very bottom at 1.9 million, which is 800,000 in your campus activity funds and 964,000 in your donation funds. So primarily what the foundation gives. That's what makes up the majority of that dollar amount. It was a little bit more than the year before. So aside from that, the only thing that TEA looks at is the first rating based on this, and we usually discuss it, and just so everyone's on the same page, that first rating is TEA's way of trying to determine if you guys are doing your job financially. So they've come up with a little rubric to score your financial results. You just got through doing the one that was based on last year's audit, so we've done a projection. I don't know if it's included in this or not, but we discussed that with the audit committee. I expect you to get a superior rating next year based on this report. And as we've discussed in the past, the one big challenge for you guys is your funding scheme and issuing debt and making sure that you have assets that correspond with your debt. And so that's kind of got you into a situation where if you're not careful with it, it could get you in trouble with the first rating. You should be fine in the foreseeable future, and I think Mike has a good game plan to make sure that you stay on track. But it's just keeping your technology expenditures out of the bonds in check, to where if you are buying supplies with the long-term debt, that you don't get too far upside down on those bonds. And the first rating, if you fail, it's not the end of the world. Obviously, you don't want to, especially if I were on the board and it was on my watch, I wouldn't want to fail the first rating. But the biggest issue with the first rating is if you fail it 3 times in a row, they'll close your district, or they'll probably absorb you in another district. Or if you have this in combination with any kind of academic failures 3 years in a row, that will also fail you. So if you fail the first 1 time and then you had 2 years of bad academic performance, that would shut you down. So you don't want to let it go off the radar, but you also don't want to let it completely change your operational focus and doing what's best for your taxpayers. So just keep that in focus. So I think you're fine. You had a little bit of a scare a couple of years ago, but I think you've corrected, and I don't think it's going to be an issue going forward. But I know you have some big bond money on the table, so just want to bring it to your attention that you're careful with
You
bond
explained
money.
that really well. Thank you.
What was the scare? I'm new to the board, so what was the scare a couple of years ago? And does it tie into what you were saying about making sure we have assets that correspond with the bond debt, which I'm assuming you mean take the bond money and use it for buildings or use it for tangible things as opposed to supplies that get used up? Is that what you're saying in plain English?
So 2 or 3 years ago, they changed the first rating, and they changed it from looking at what we looked at here was the way you guys do your budgeting, the way you do your accounting, which everybody thinks about in governmental accounting. They don't really worry about the long-term assets and depreciation. But TEA changed it 2 or 3 years ago for the first rating to focus more on the economic picture. So they're looking at your long-term assets and your debt. And historically, Alamo Heights has used debt to buy some technology purchases that are under the capitalization threshold, which is $5,000 per item. So if you buy a laptop, or what would normally happen is you'd spend $1 million on a bazillion laptops.
Yeah.
Right. And so that would be expense right off the books, but you still have the debt. So you looked upside down on your financial statements.
Right.
So it made these arbitrary calculations TE has the first rating didn't look as great. And there's one that's critical. If you're completely upside down, below 0, then you automatically fail the first rating. And so there's some of the ways that you depreciate assets and what you consider an asset could make an impact on that calculation. So traditionally, when those numbers didn't really matter to anybody that was reviewing your financial statements, now they suddenly did kind of matter. And so when you started looking at it better, there were some better ways to handle those financial decisions. So
and these ratings do or do not, I imagine it's the latter, impact marketability of our bonds, the rate that we're going to get when we float a new issuance, those kinds of things.
I don't think anybody who's looking at your credit rating is going to be looking at the first rate.
Yep.
That's mainly just for TEA.
Okay.
However, and I keep saying this rumor, I probably need to get an attorney to tell me whether it's true or not, but I have heard through the grapevine that if you fail a first rating, it might have an impact on your permanent school fund backing.
Okay.
So that's the state, backing your bonds, which might have a significant impact on your interest rate on the bond.
Yep.
So I would hope somebody would check me on that and let me know if I'm telling lies or not, but I've heard that rumors. I don't know if it's true or not.
And y'all know this, I think it's important clarification. The reason we buy technology through our bonds is because there's no recapture on that tax rate, right?
Right.
So that $1,000 computer costs $2,000 if you buy it out of M&O in terms of for your taxpayers, as opposed to $1,000 on your bond side plus a little bit of interest.
Right.
And so, which makes complete sense. Chapter 41 districts do it all the time. But because when they change the rules about how you account for it, you could all of a sudden look upside down because you don't get to count that as an asset. And so it makes complete sense to do it. In the old days, before Robinhood, you wouldn't have gone out for a bond. They always just raised M&O. The board could raise your M&O. There wasn't a cap on doing it as long as you didn't go up over 10% a year. So if you wanted to repair the roofs, you would just go out and say, you know what, we need a penny or two on the tax rate. All in favor, let's do it. And you'd pay for it out of M&O. There was no bond election. There was no nothing. And it didn't matter because there was no recapture. And when Robinhood came into play, all of a sudden, because I remember Harry Orm sitting at this table saying, why don't we just raise the tax rate a penny? Well, because we can't, because it takes 2 pennies to get in 1 penny. And so it makes more sense to do it on the bond side. And so it's just a shift in the way that we've had to think about things and doing it. All of that was fine, like Phil said, until they changed the rule about what they were how they were gonna do the accounting.
Go ahead, sorry.
Well, I think I want one other clarification that and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 years ago, we did talk about making sure we pay off our technology timely, which we've always tried. That's not, that position and philosophy has been the same, but what we did change after they changed this first rating is we kind of needed to shift the way we handled our depreciation schedule, right? Because before it didn't matter, and that helped us.
Well, several years ago, schools never depreciated anything.
Right.
Several years ago,
right.
I forget which
2004
Gatsby rule came in that all of a sudden said schools need to depreciate. So we just set up a schedule at 35 or 40 years on buildings, and most of them are old, so most of them got depreciated off. So when we did that, that's what sort of put us into the bind. Because
so we had our assets
buildings were so old.
They were fully depreciated.
They were
by
fully
the time
depreciated.
They
So
changed this.
then we got into buying the computers and everything. So it sort of put us upside down. So we've had to work on how we structure. And so some of the refunding of bonds that we've done here lately, we restructured them so we're paying them off a little quicker.
Right.
So that we address those issues.
Okay. When he talked, that's what happened 2 years ago, that we sort of had to do some shifting. So it wasn't like we were doing anything really different about technology that in terms of the way we approached the funding and the paying off.
Yes. Okay.
And you're paying off a lot of principal every year, so it's just spreading out your technology so where you don't spend $10 million on technology but only pay off $5 million in bonds. You want to kind of balance that to where you spread it to where you're paying off the bonds about as much as you're doing on technology.
You try and keep it even.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
You were going to ask something else when I started talking. You remember what it was?
Actually,
Got it?
you just
He
answered it.
Okay.
Okay. I also wanted to just let you know, obviously this is one of the most critical things we do as a board, is not only just deploying the funds, but also making sure they're reported in a correct manner. And you in the committees I've been in, you do a great job of communicating that to both laypersons and other people who have studied accounting. That's a real gift. So it helps give board comfort that they understand what the issues are. So even today, just going through that could have been a very different conversation. So I thank you for that. And so unless there's any other questions, do I have a motion to approve the 2016-17 financial audit as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil.
Do you need some signatures?
Oh, yeah.
Secretary.
Okay, the next up is consideration of the resolution for election of Bear Appraisal District Board of Directors for 2018-19. We tabled this, so I don't know from a, Bonnie and I talked from Robert's Rules of Order if there's anything we need to do. I think it just kind of table it to this meeting, so we're fine, yeah. I wanted to give you guys a little more background because it's, I wanted to do a little more work on it as well as talk to one of the candidates who reached out to us. So just as background, this board we're talking about, it's the board for the Bear Appraisal District, which is responsible for all the appraisals for all the real and commercial property within kind of all the taxing entities within Bear County. So they're not the ones who actually do the appraisals or the ones who listen to people who are contesting their appraisals. They're the ones who essentially hire the chief appraiser who goes out, and his job is to go every year annually and appraise the properties in Bexar County. And so what they do is they have 5 board of directors, and their two main, their 2 biggest responsibilities are hiring the chief appraiser and then setting the budget and making sure that, and watching that. So in a lot of ways, there's some similarities to the school board where you hire supervisors and make sure the budget and other policies. The way it works is there's 44 taxing entities in Bexar County, and of those, there's 4 or 5 that are very large: Northside Independent School District, Northeast, Bexar County, City of San Antonio, and then the other 40 are smaller, like ourselves. So the big ones each have, Northside essentially collects 20% of the property tax revenue every year in the region, so they get 20% of the votes to vote for the board of directors. And so the big 4, those guys each essentially get to appoint one of the, because they have so many votes, and then the rest of us essentially, hoping that the 5th person is somebody who keeps the smaller district's representation in mind. And to that, which is surprising, we don't get a lot of candidates who reach out to us, but we have in the past supported one who has, and her name's Sherry Byram. She served as president for the last 2 years, and one of the things she talks about is she's in a smaller district, is that she knows her role is to keep the viewpoints and make sure that the smaller taxing entities have a representation on the board. She's also the only one who's reached out to us, and she's got a good reputation from discussions I've had with prior trustees as well as other people that are involved in this. I did speak to her. I had a really long and good discussion with her on her experience in the board, why she's doing it. She got involved 6 to 8 years ago when she had a problem with an appraisal on her real estate, and felt like after going through that process that it could be improved. And she kind of talked through some of the improvements they made. And so she's running again. I would say just having had the conversations and the fact that she's the only one, there's really 2 alternatives I think we have, is casting our votes for Mrs. Byram or not voting at all, because I can't, honestly, none of the other candidates I've spoken to
or do they ask for?
Right. So it's a testament to her that she's actually reached out, that she's provided her biography, answered the questions, and has done a good job, and has shown, being in a leadership position on the board has shown she can work with the others as well. So while we don't have a lot of influence, we have 2.5% of the vote. I do think it's important for us to vote versus just sitting out, and I think she's kind of proven that you can. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I feel pretty comfortable after speaking to her and doing some homework that she's a good representative for us in other districts. So, okay, so you guys, if there are no other questions, do you have a motion to cast our votes for Sherry Byram for Director of Bear Appraisal District for a 2-year term beginning January 1, 2018?
So moved.
Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next item up is report on board training hours.
Congratulations, everybody got their training hours.
That's right.
That's awesome. That's not always an easy thing to do. So
we all he's had
What's up with the new guy?
Yeah, look at Ryan trying to
Hey,
show.
I do want to say this is our weakest year since I've been on the board.
That
in
is
terms
not
of,
true.
Yes,
You
it
don't know
is.
that. You're just saying that.
Let the record show that I more than doubled everyone.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Tripled on
But as the new person, I have a lot more required. Yeah, there's a lot more required stuff. I had to learn that a quorum is 4 on a 7-person board.
That probably took an hour.
That actually took longer than it should have.
Okay, but I also think it's important, and I think
It is
everybody
good
knows that y'all put in a whole bunch of time.
Oh, yeah.
Through board meetings and learning walks and communications and attending school events and everything. So I know it's not easy to get all that done. Bond presentations and all the things y'all do. So y'all put in a ton of hours, and we appreciate it.
Okay, we don't need to approve that, right?
No.
Mine's a typo, obviously, but.
It was supposed to be
110, yeah.
it was 100.
That's okay. Okay, next item up on the agenda is the consent agenda. These are items that we consider routine by the board or previously reviewed or discussed in other meetings. I'd like everybody to take a look. If there's anything they'd like to pull out for discussion, let me know. In the meantime, also want to recognize we've got over 130,000 of donations that we gratefully accept this month from 9 different organizations. So that's great. That is a lot of money that can be put to good use. So unless there's anything that you all want to pull out, do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
So moved.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next item up on the agenda is the committee report on Alamo School Foundation. I know the meeting, I believe, is next week, but I think you were bonding.
So I said just leave it on here. There was not a meeting. I think that just the executive board meets in December is what I thought I was told. Is that correct? It's not. They are going through a sort of a planning session with a facilitator.
They did that this Saturday. Yeah.
So I thought if you wanted to mention anything on that, but
yeah. It was super positive. They spent half a day on Saturday down here at the Texas Capital Bank and had a good showing and a very enthusiastic crowd, really engaged. And they're going to be going through the process of finding a new executive director. But they're also looking for ways that they can really align their efforts to be as effective in their giving at really moving the needle for the district and trying to align with the kind of the focus of the district with the profile of a learner and efforts around that. And I was only there part of the time. They asked me to come and present, and then we did this little round table where they could ask questions. And I understand the second part of the meeting was really a positive thing. I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but they were pretty enthusiastic, and I think it'll be a really neat opportunity for them to continue to grow and improve over the long haul.
I have a question as far as you saying they want to be more aligned with profile of a learner. Did they come to that on their own, or was that a suggestion that came from the district? Or
well, part of some of that was my feedback, and I think some of it was their own kind of thoughts with one another. And I think to a large degree, you know, when you go through monthly meetings, people just kind of click through and you just meet because that's what you do. Mm-hmm. And you go through the reports and do that. And the whole neat thing about having a strategic planning session is to really hit the pause button and really analyze what you're doing. I thought the facilitator did a nice job. He had interviewed some people ahead of time, try to get the dynamics and stuff, and then bring people together and say, hey, where are we? You know, what's our mission as an organization, and are we fulfilling our mission as best as we can? And so, are there things we're doing that aren't in line with the mission? So there's real good discussion around those kinds of things, you know, and I don't think they made any decisions or anything like that, but I think it kind of gave them a shot in the arm to maybe try to align not only with the district, but even with other groups, other booster clubs and so forth, which I think is a really healthy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Next up are business recommendations. Consideration of approval to increase the adult meal price. Mike Hager.
if you remember a couple of years ago, we had to, the USDA came out with regulations on how to fix student meal prices because of the National Lunch Program. And so the board adopted a plan, a 3-year plan to increase student meal prices that paid the full price. So this year we had an audit with TDA, our 3-year audit on food service, and they informed us that there's also one for adult meal prices. And so once we calculated that, we were actually less than what that meal price is, which was $1.51, I believe. And so to remedy that, we're asking to raise the adult meal prices to $3.75 per meal and to $25 for breakfast. And that would be good. We would hold that price for 2 years, and at the end of 2 years, we would recalculate that to make sure we were above the price. The reason they do that is they don't want the federal government to be subsidizing fully paid meals. And this is one way to ensure that.
Straightforward.
And so we have noticed that would go out to all the staff starting in January that the prices have gone up. If we don't, then the district itself has to make up the difference in that price.
Still a great bargain.
Yeah,
It is.
And you haven't said there's a lot of people who use it, right? It's,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of staff.
Frank?
Dr.
Frank.
I do. No, I go. I'm one of the ones.
Okay.
He is.
I eat over there often.
That's great.
It's easy.
He passes up very few meals. I know because I'm usually with him.
Okay, if there's no other questions, do you have a motion to approve the increase in adult meal prices presented by Mr. Hager?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, B, consideration of central plant GMP increase.
So if you remember last month, we did a partial increase for the central plant, and the reason because we could reduce the size of the cooling towers that were on the central plant, which changed the steel structure, which changed some electrical, which changed a lot of little things. So this is the second part, which is all of that, the rest of the central plant. And that came out to $3.9 million. So the total is just a little under 5.1. I think it's $5.88 million for the central plant.
5.08.
Yes, 5.088. I'm sorry, for the central plant. As far as overall budgets are concerned, like I said last month, I'm cautiously optimistic that we're in good shape.
How does this compare to what we had budgeted for the central plant?
When the architects put the central plant together, they used a square foot cost. So when you look at their estimates, it's quite a bit different. But that when you look at a high school brand new building, look at square foot cost, all of that infrastructure for the mechanical is within that figure. So part of their budget is in the commons, part of it is in the athletic, part of it is in STEM building. So all of that pulls away from that. So when you look at their budget, you know, it's twice as much as what their budget.
They had a building cost for
right, they just had a building cost.
Infrastructure.
So we've already got a preliminary, like on the commons, and we're about anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million under what that projection is. So that $1 million is going basically for the central plant.
Some of that's the infrastructure.
Right. Was that about the difference, about $1 million?
No, about 2.5 off of their budget. It's about half. So, but the central plant and the commons is only about 20% of the total high school cost. So the rest will be made up.
You'll see some of it in the Mule Dome, some of it in the
all that'll be
football new stadium, that big all
that'll be made up.
So when you're comparing apples to apples on this cost, how much more expensive is it than what it would have been had they, I mean, I guess it's kind of strange to me that they budgeted just a building, but the actual cost is the mechanics and everything, so we really didn't get to compare apples to apples. So going back and doing it, how are we looking on this? Or is it impossible to tell at this point?
No, I think overall, if you look at the high school overall budget, which is around $55 million, I think we're in the ballpark with the central plant.
But I guess that begs the question, though. The overall high school budget, we haven't even bid out most of these buildings, so we have no idea how they are. I mean, I know this $5 million is within, and maybe the answer is it's really impossible at this point in time to tell where we're at.
Well, I think if they would have addressed it, looking at the mechanical aspect of it for this building, it would have been a lot different. They wouldn't have used it. But as they looked at it, they just looked at a square foot cost and how many square feet total were we building based on other high schools being built, and so that's the number they used.
And those costs can include, there's a piece of it that's lighting, there's a piece of it that you're heating and air conditioning. So
all those pieces
and that's
are
meant
included.
to include the whole system. Once you get in a big building, you've got pretty big pieces of equipment supporting that, and so that's, I think, what you're saying. It's a unit cost that went into the square foot cost, and so you'd have to peel out a piece of each building to put it towards this.
So it's kind of impossible
I
to
think
really bring it.
from what
and
I'm
that's
hearing,
okay.
it sounds like it's impossible
Okay.
to compare it back to the early budgets, correct?
Okay.
But I think as we get closer, we can look at it as a percentage. We can talk about percentages, and because a certain percentage of each building should be
allocated to this.
Somewhere in here.
Mhm.
Okay.
Just as a commons, looks like it's coming way under. And that's only a $10 million building, where the athletic and STEM there's about $35 million in that number.
Okay.
So there's quite a bit still to go.
Okay.
No.
Sorry. Did you want to say anything else? Or I did?
No,
okay. Great. Okay. For another question.
I just want to finish up right quick. So this will finish up the central plan as far as the guaranteed maximum price goes. We are waiting on a building permit from the city, and they're dragging their feet.
Any reason?
Well, they haven't returned phone calls to the architects. I did see an email late this afternoon. So I'm going to have to make a call to the city and ask them to speed along, because this is very time sensitive.
It's a crucial piece.
That's why we approved it in November, so they could get started. Well, since they don't have a building permit, they can't get started. So we're basically pushed through.
The city's aware of our time frame and how crucial this is to our time frame?
Yes.
Okay.
And who are we dealing with at the city? Whose office is this landing in?
Jason Lutz is the person that we're dealing with.
I will say that they've been great to work with so far, so I don't want to throw people under the bus either. I do think that,
but please hound them.
But we want to, get
our answer. I'm going to visit with the city, not the city manager, but his assistant. That I have a good relationship with. I'll visit with him tomorrow.
Are the architects going to redo that rendering to show what it looks like without the top? Okay.
They sent me one, and the problem was the trees behind looked like mountains, and so
you said no, it's not.
We don't need that.
People will be asking
I was trying to figure out where those mountains came from. They said they're from the trees. I said, let's redo
change
that.
the viewpoint. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we see that at some point
realistic.
so we could have it.
Looks like we're in Colorado.
Okay.
Okay. No other questions? Do we have a motion to approve the central plant GMP increase as presented by Mike Hager?
I got it. So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next up, item 8, calendar review.
Hey, all right. So, real quick, I wanted to tell you that if you would like to go to LPA, Architect, and look at their virtual tour of the facility, they've given us, and I think they have this in there. So in your form, no, they don't. Okay. So they were thinking of getting a couple of dates that if y'all wanted to come, either one or two dates, they could give you that virtual tour of the facilities. And so the options are basically the 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, or 22nd. So on the
December.
Of December.
Next
so
week.
At,
Oh, wow.
So it could be on the 18th, 20th, and 21st at noon, or the 19th, 20th, and 21st at 4:30.
I think they're looking just at 2 times.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
They
I'm
would
trying
like for
to.
us
So we'd
to-
like to do maybe one at noon and one at 4:30 potentially.
All of us at once, or do they want us
No,
to come separately?
You can come. So if all of y'all agree there's one date and y'all want to come, then we'll do that. But if you want to go, some of you at one time and some at the other time, that will work too. So could I just throw out a date and say, what about Wednesday the 20th at noon and 4:30?
4:30.
And you could do either one of those times.
Okay, there's a Robbins graduation that day.
Yeah, I have that.
That's a problem.
Is that
So
real?
that
or?
would be, is that gonna happen?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, not everybody has to go to both. So
Right.
some of y'all might go at noon if you couldn't do Robbins, or you could go at 4:30.
Yeah.
But it could be another day too. Would y'all like the 20th?
I like
The
Yeah,
20th
I
is
can
Wednesday?
make- I can do that.
I can do noon, but I cannot do 4:30.
Either one, he's saying, if you can do one or the other. Is there any way anybody else would want to do the 18th? The 20th is not a good day for me.
Is there
I mean,
any
I
sort
can
of
make it work if I have to.
There's
but-
really not a quorum issue or a posting issue if we have 4.
He's just trying to-
There will be if there's 4 of you. So I'll just need, and that's one reason to think about the 20th because, or we have 72 hours, so we can
Okay.
post tomorrow and have it ready by Monday. No.
What about
Why don't we
Thursday
just
the
go different
21st?
times? I could also go. I can go on the 18th.
What's that?
Oh.
Yeah, I can't do 18.
What about the 21st?
I don't want to do the 21st.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for me.
I can do the 20th or the 21st.
It seemed like we had 3 or 4 folks that could do the 20th.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good day.
That's a good
Okay.
day. It's just
20th
whether
at noon and or the 20th at 4:30,
Correct.
either one. So who would like to do noon? Perry,
I can do
you can
that.
just go another time.
Ryan.
I don't think they're doing it except for when we asked them to.
I can do either
But
one.
they offered these times. Lisa can't go on the 20th, but I said she could go another time.
Oh,
Can I just go? It has to be set up.
they had
right?
asked if we could
Right,
try to
that's what I-
stick to
that's
2
what- that's
times.
what I
So if
heard.
you can't
Bonnie
go to
heard it.
either of
Oh, I
those,
didn't
Yeah,
hear it
no,
that
I
way.
then let's do one other date. What day could you do?
She said the 18th.
I think you
I
said
could
the
do any
18th.
day but the 20th. I just have, yeah.
Okay.
I've got bad days.
What about the 19th?
I could not do noon, but they didn't offer noon on the 19th. I could do 4:30 on the 19th.
I could do 4:30.
December 19th, 4:30?
Lisa?
Will's getting his wisdom teeth out, so I'll make the 20th work. if I-
Okay,
yeah.
let's do the
I
20th.
can't do the
20th.
19th,
Okay, the 20th, either at noon or at 4:30.
Okay.
And y'all can pick, and what I'm gonna do is get it just posted,
just gonna
because you might
post
have
it just
4
in
of one of
case.
those. So I can post both of those.
Okay.
All
Does
right,
it
is that
help
fair
if
enough?
we tell you now which one we're going to be at?
Yeah, so who's at noon? Perry, Ryan,
I am.
Yeah.
I'll do noon.
Bonnie,
I'll do noon.
Lisa.
I want to go to Robbins.
Okay?
I'll do 10:30.
John will
And
do
I-
4:30, Margaret 4:30,
Yeah.
This one will be
It's the
Perry.
cool group.
David.
I'm crushed that whole week, so it's totally
Okay.
fine.
Gotcha, okay.
Putting
All right.
together toy cars and swing sets.
Okay, so given that, is
That's all for
anybody-
the 24th, buddy.
Lisa or Bonnie, would either of y'all like to move to 4:30, and then it doesn't have to be a posted meeting?
I can do that.
Do
I
3:30.
can move to 4:30 unless
You can.
someone else wants to. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't care. I think I could too, so whatever.
If you'd rather move.
They're downtown, just so you know.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter for me. I mean,
Or rest of
whichever
Really?
you prefer.
What's
Yeah,
Like the
it
2
really
chipmunks. No,
doesn't
no, no,
matter.
you go. No, 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 you go.
You have a preference?
I don't.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Because I'm already downtown.
So you want to do 4:30 end of day for you? Is that
Sure.
better? Okay.
Okay,
So I'll
so
do noon.
Ryan will do 4:30, then we have 3 at each. And again, you're just looking and doing that virtual tour, probably running into furniture, gives you, lose your space, you know. Great. All right, other rest of the calendar review is we actually have a school foundation board meeting on December 20th. I don't think that's right.
I know I have it. I
Well,
think it,
they haven't canceled.
They haven't
They
canceled
canceled,
it. Okay. We do have the Robbins Graduation at noon, and right now we have these LPA visits. Then we have our break, which is great. If you come back we come back Thursday the 4th, and then on Friday the 5th, this group is going to do the Schlechte Conference in office, Austin, Friday and Saturday, the 6th, ends at noon on the 6th.
Emma, are you taking care of rooms and all that?
Yes,
Okay.
It's in your folder.
Okay.
And then, just to let y'all know, on Monday the 8th of January, we actually have Georgia superintendents coming to visit us all day on the 8th and also part of the 9th, just to see the school and hear the stories of what's going on and that kind of thing. On Wednesday the 10th is GMP. On Wednesday, the 17th, the following week, is the Cambridge Learning Walk at 11 to 1 o'clock. And then on Thursday, the 18th, at 7 is the board meeting, regular board meeting. There you have it.
Cool.
Do you need us for anything on the 8th and the 9th with Georgia's superintendent's coming in?
No, you're welcome to come, but it will be some of those people will be here in Austin for the selective thing. A few of them will, and some are just coming in for this. And anybody's welcome to be there. I think we are doing the program from I think it's 11 to 4 or 1 to 4:30. I'll have to get those times straight. We've been going back and forth with them. They're actually going to have Schlechte do a little bit of work with them as well for part of that. And then Clear Creek is going to come in and do a little bit while they're here. So, which will be great.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay, so before we move to the next item, if there are no objections, we'll take a short break before entering executive session as per Texas Government Code Section 555.001.
Good job. 551.001. 551.001. You still have your typo.
551, you're right. That's my old
Gotta get our government code right.